Okay. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome back. Um, yeah, walaikum salam. So, if you want to join the WhatsApp group, just email your phone number. Yeah, so WhatsApp number. The admins will add you into the group, so you can join the classes. So anyway, so we are starting the science of hadith. Yeah. um, it is very big book, yes, so it's over 600 pages. um, we are not going to do the academic study, okay, but it is brief study for the layman. But the academic study, it is when I will be reading through the Arabic text, okay, and then translating it verbally, and then going into the technical terms, okay, and then unlocking the text according to the usul al-fiqh. Yeah, so that is that's not for layman, okay, but it is very brief explanation, okay, for the um, people who just want to have some understanding of how this subject works. Okay, guys, so let's start. Um, if you can just open the page number. um, it is just before the indexes, yes, so the page does not have a number, so it is just before the indexes, yes, so this page, if you can see, yeah, so these are the indexes, so I will be reading this part, okay. So this quotation, this text, this sentence, I took from Abu Bakr al-Jassas, as it is written, yeah. Abu Bakr al-Jassas, he's our Baghdadi Hanafi scholar, yeah. um, and it is from his commentary on the Mukhtasar of Imam Tahawi. As you know, Mukhtasar of Imam Tahawi is one of the manuals in Hanafi fiqh. Okay, it used to be popular. However, when the Mukhtasar al-Quduri and Kanz Daqaiq, okay, of Nasafi, as well as al-Wiqaya, okay, of Mahbubi, when that became widely spread, people forgot about Mukhtasar of Tahawi. Okay, so in our time, the most popular books in the Hanafi fiqh is Mukhtasar al-Khuduri. Okay, they study this book everywhere, and then Mukhtasar al-Wuqaya. Normally, we Central Asians we memorize it. Okay, well, I don't know how it is in. I mean now, but when I used to be a student of knowledge, so we're talking about late 80s, so 1985 and onward. Yeah, in that time, we used to study Mukhtasar al-Wuqaya. We used to memorize it. And then the third book is Kanz al-Daqaiq. Kanz al-Daqaiq. Kanz al-Daqaiq is quite popular, again written by Imam Nasafi, but it's very popular in subcontinent. Okay, and Al-Azhar, they mainly focus on Al-Mukhtar, okay, by Musalli, and its commentary, Al-Ikhtiyar, also by Musalli himself. Okay, so what Imam Razi says? So he says, وليس طريقة الفقهاء بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قال الإمام أبو بكر الرازي رحمه الله ونفعنا بعلومه وبركاته وغفر له وأعلى درجته في أعلى العليين. So, وليس طريقة الفقهاء في قبول الأخبار طريقة أصحاب الحديث. So Jassas says, the way the way fuqaha treat the hadith is not similar to the way how muhaddithin authenticated. So there is difference, yeah. So muhaddithin, their main focus is one thing. it is chain. The names in the chain should be verified by the imams of their own crowd. Yeah. And unfortunately, so that is good, but sometimes it is a bit oppressive also. Oppressive because there are many genuine scholars and reliable narrators, but they did not used to be part of their crowd because they had their own understanding of religion. So those reliable scholars are labeled as weak. Do you understand? It is very oppressive. First point. And the second point is, on the other hand, we have weak narrators. But just because they are member of that crowd, so their hadith have been accepted. Okay, so that is something we have to make sure that we are awake. Okay, so we should not let that happen. Okay, but it is unfortunately in the books of muhaddithin. So anyway, so the narrators, the muhaddithun, they have their own way of authenticating the hadith. Fuqaha in here means usuliyun. The usuliyun, they have their own way. The way of usuliyun is much more complicated. So it's not just yeah. So all these are all of them are from part of our crowd. Yeah, all of them are Hanbali. So that's why, regardless of what they are saying, it's authentic. That's it. Job is done. So easy. Understand? Even Imam Muslim, rahimahullah, by himself, he says that people used to take the hadith without asking about anything until fitna started happening. Then they started questioning about the narrators, saying, who are you narrating this hadith from? You understand? So, Jassas says, وَلَيْسَ طريقة الفقهاء في قبول الأخبار طريقة أصحاب الحديث. So the way of authenticating and verifying the authenticity of the narration, which is applied and implemented by the muhaddithin, is different to that which is implemented and applied by fuqaha. Okay, ولا نعلم أحدا من الفقهاء رجع إليهم في قبول الأخبار وردها. And we don't know any of the fuqaha. So we don't, for example, we know Abu Hanifa, we know Malik, Shafi'i, and we know, for example, the fuqaha, yeah, the greatest, glorious fuqaha. So so none of them used to follow the principles of the muhaddithin in terms of verifying if this hadith is authentic or not. Okay, ولا اعتبر أصولهم فيها. And none of the fuqaha even were bothered. They were never bothered about the principles of the muhaddithin. Okay, so that's why if some muhaddith say that this hadith is authentic, so it means that it is authentic for them, but it does not mean that we are going to accept it. No, we have our own principles. On the same way, if some muhaddith says actually this hadith is weak, oh, we don't say oh, it means we have to reject. No, 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 we don't do that. We have our own principles. Yeah. Very brief comment on this statement. In the later generation, all four madhahib, Maliki, Shafi'i, well, Hanabila, they were muhaddithin from the day one, all the time. Okay, but Malikis and Hanafis, they were not. Imam Shafi'i, he was in between. He was glorious faqih, but he was Imam Mujtahid in Hadith also. Understand? So Imam Shafi'i, radiallahu, he has got a different case. But Malikis and Hanafis, they had their own profound principles. But the later generation, Malikis and Hanafis, they became Hanbali minded. Just look into the chain, take it, look into the chain, reject it. You understand? Okay. So if you look into the books of Malikis and Hanafis also, they try to implement the principles of the Muhaddithin in order to support their school. Specifically, Hanafis look very weak. because they overstretch the principles of the muhaddithin. Sometimes it will look like that they're overdoing the things, you know. Okay, so they look like that they're twisting, and actually they're twisting. Okay, the Hanafi scholars, when they are supporting their Hanafi madhab by the Hadithi principle, they have to twist a lot. Do you understand? Okay. I'm not going to mention the names of the books because, based on my own experience, many people, students of knowledge and scholars, they take it as offensive, you know, toward the authors of these books. Okay. But anyway, so from today on, we have our own principles. So when Hanafi school was established, it was not established by using the principles of Imam Bukhari, who came after 200 years after, establishing our madhab. Do you understand? Okay, so that's why we implement our own principle, which is much more profound, much more reliable than the principles of the muhaddithin. So anyway, um, as far as I remember, last week, okay, so or in the introduction, did I mention that story? Okay, it is mentioned in the page number 5. Okay, so the muqaddimah, the introduction, let's go through it very briefly. So muqaddimah, introduction. الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى وبعد. فهذا متن شامل موسع في بيان قواعد نقد الروايات على مذهب السادة الحنفية، استقصيت فيه آراء العلماء المنتسبين إلى الإمام الأعظم أبي حنيفة رضي الله عنه وعنهم أجمعين. So this is matan, this is text, matan, shamil, but inclusive, because I have produced two texts, yeah, two manuals. One is standard manual, okay, al-matan al-muwahhad. I did publish it long ago. And the second is this one, al-matan al-shamil. Okay, so two books, yeah. So the standard, that is muwahhad, and the shamil, that is inclusive. Okay, so what's the meaning of inclusive? So I have included all the opinions of all branches of Hanafi school. Okay, so for example, the muwahhad, the standard one, it only includes only one branch. Okay, only one madrasa of Hanafi school. But in here, I have included all the madarif of Hanafi school. Okay, so let's carry on. استقصيت فيه آراء العلماء المنتسبين إلى الإمام الأعظم. So I have included, I tried my best to include everything, all the opinions of all the scholars who follow Abu Hanifa, بغض النظر, this is the important point, بغض النظر من الألقاب التي ألصقها بها التي ألصقها بهم مخالفوهم. Initially I wanted to say خصومهم, you know. But then I said, look, forget about the خصومة, but then I said مخالفوهم. So I have included all the scholars, the opinions of all the scholars from different branches of Hanafi school, Hanafi madhab, regardless of the labels which were attached on that branch by their opponents. Okay, I'm not going to mention the names of the opponents, but Hanafis have been really badly abused by their opponents by giving them all sorts of different labels just to humiliate them and to till today, okay, they try to demonize the Hanafi school, you know. I mean, if you find some contemporary Hanafi scholar, they will try to demonize him, because the Hanafi scholar will be clarifying, okay, and explaining the narrations which those people love to throw at the people. Understand? And they don't like it because it's their business. So that's why they have to somehow get their business running. So how to do it? Attack on the opponent. Academically, they are not fit. So what to do? spread rumors, and demonize. Do you understand? So that's why I said in this book I have disregarded, okay, the labels which were attached by their opponents. For example, Abu Ali al-Jubbai, such a noble scholar, but because of this story which they have fabricated, okay, and they said, yeah, this Abu Hassan Ash'ari used to be the student of Abu Ali al-Jubbai, which is lie. Ash'ari never was student of Abu Ali al-Jubbai, because if he would be just one day, okay, so he would not be Jabri person. Do you understand? So then they have fabricated this story in which this he came, Abu Hassan Ash'ari came and said, "Oh, what do you think about these three brothers? Yeah, one of them died as kafir, and you know that silly story." Okay, and then they say, "Oh, Abu Ali al-Jubai, he was on the mimbar, and then he started, hitting his head and saying, 'Oh, Abu Hassan finished me off. Oh, Mama, where is Mama? I want to drink milk.' That type of silly story." That's all of that. Abu Hassan al-Ash'ari never studied under Abu Ali al-Jubai. It's just fabricated. So Abu Ali al-Jubai is noble, glorious scholar. Okay, but his opponents really badly demonized him. But he was Hanafi, glorious scholar. Whereas Abu Hassan al-Ash'ari, he was Maliki, muqallid in fiqh. Okay, as well as um, so anyway, وكان قصدي ألا أقتصر على آراء الحنفية الذين اتبعوا طائفة واحدة وهي التي يعتبر رأيها الرأي السائد الذي اعتمد عليه جمهور المتأخرين من الحنفي. So my main focus was, my goal was that I didn't want to only present the opinions of the standard Hanafi school, which was supported or followed by the later generation Hanafis, especially, for example, the Uthmanis also, yeah. So the later generation Uthmanis, and for example, the Mughals, subcontinent. And then وَعَزَوْتُ كُلَّ مَقُولَةٍ إِلَى قَائِلِهَا. So I have attributed each statement to its uh, author. وَنَسَبْتُ كُلَّ رَأٍ إِلَى صَاحِبِهِ. And also I have attributed each opinion to its author also. منبها على مصادرهما, and also I have clarified the sources of these opinions also, لكي لا تنقطع بركة العلم, so that the blessing of the knowledge will not be cut, it will not be disconnected. Okay, so which means that so I'm not saying, yeah, it is something which Abu Hanifa says. Okay, so where does he say it? So I gave the reference. Okay, so it's something, for example, Abu Mansur rejected. So where did he reject? The source. Okay, so all the sources, each opinion and each statement, Alhamdulillah, is attributed to its author. Okay, and also I gave the reference for each of that. Okay, so that is just to make sure that the barakah of the knowledge will continue. والله أسأل أن يوفقني في القول والفعل وهو ولي التوفيق. So I ask God to give me, um, to guide me toward the truth when saying things or when acting. And He is the one who can do that. Okay. تأصيل المادة. Obviously, in the تأصيل المادة, I could mention just full chapter, but I just quoted only just one story. Because as you know, the very first group who have established or who have produced this subject, which is called Mustalah al-Hadith, it was early Hanafi scholars. Okay. There were many stories, but I just mentioned only one of them. As you know, Ma'mun, he was Hanafi, okay, and he was very into the knowledge. He used to love the Hanafi, because Hanafi thinkers back then used to be independent. For example, in our time, they love to follow, yeah, but the early Hanafis, they were independently thinking. Ma'mun, he was like that. He was in love with the knowledge. Okay. And as you know, the rest of the Abbasids, they were Athari orientated. So they disliked that their brother is with the free thinkers, okay, Quran centric Muslims, Hanafis. So they were trying their best to demonize the Hanafis to and to produce, I mean, to introduce, okay, or to present the Hanafis to the Khalifa Ma'mun as evil people. So Isa, the brother of Ma'mun, the Caliph Ma'mun, okay, so came to him saying, actually, look, Ma'mun, you love and respect those people, and here is the book. Okay, there are a lot of ahadith which those people reject. So Ma'mun said, okay, guys. So then Ma'mun called Hanafi Mashayikh, and Isa ibn Aban was there. Obviously, Isa ibn Aban is very big brain. Unfortunately, his books are lost. Okay, so the historians they normally mention four books of Isa ibn Aban. Unfortunately, all of them lost. Recently, it's not recently, about 10, 12 years ago, someone from Iraq claimed that he found the one of the books, which is this one, yeah. And he claimed that right now he's writing as PhD. After that, I lost him, so I don't know. I mean, if he has produced that, so I'm still waiting. Okay, I'm hoping that it's going to be of great benefit. So Ma'mun said to Isa ibn Aban, he said, so here is the book. Your crowd reject these ahadith. So I want you to comment on it. I want you to clarify. I want to justify your position when you do not accept these narrations. Or I will ban you from fatwa. So you will get punished actually. Isa ibn Aban took it and then he spent some time and then he came back with his book. Okay. Al-Hujjaj al-Kabir or Al-Hujjaj al-Saghir, one of these two books. Yeah. So because he produced two of them. So anyway, actually in my copy it says Al-Hujjatu Saghir, means Al-Hujjatu Saghir, yeah. So he produced this book in which in the beginning he presented our principles of testing hadith, and then after that he implemented these principles on each of these narrations which were included into that book, okay, which Isa ibn Harun brought to his brother Ma'mun. So he read the book in front of the Caliph, Khalifa Ma'mun, and Khalifa Ma'mun, he's in love with the knowledge. So when he read, so he was very impressed. Khalifa Ma'mun was very impressed, and then he read that poem, okay, in which the poet says the people envied the person because they were unable to reach to his level. Okay, so obviously this attempt of Isa ibn Harun to demonize the Hanafi scholars to his brother Ma'mun, so it actually went against him. Okay, one thing is very, very important, yeah? Um, very important thing is this. Knowledge is power, but um, it's power to fight against the people, but for the person who does not have good intention. So what we're producing in here is not so that you will go and will start fighting with the people. No, no. It's just for you, for yourself. Okay? So all these stories which we are going to mention and all these ahadith which we are going to test, apply, and look into how early Hanafi scholars, including Abu Hanifa himself, how he has implemented the hadith. So the principle on that. So it's not for you to learn and to go and beat up the people. No, no. It is to seek a knowledge. We are all seeking a knowledge. Okay, so that is very important point. Okay, the page number 9. The classification the classification, classical classification of the hadith in Hanafi school. So it is coming from early Hanafi schools. Yeah. So we there are two classifications. Yeah. So the first one is we classify the hadith into three categories. Okay. So the first one is verbal, and the second is action. So actions of Rasulullah, and the third one is it is tacit approval, okay, or silent approval. And each of these three categories will have its own relevant principles. Yeah. Okay. And further, we in the classical Hanafi school, when we start talking about the narrations, we talk on them. I mean, we look at them from four different angles. The first is its connection. How is it connected to you? Okay, I'm going to explain each of that. And the second is disconnection. How is it disconnected? There are two types of disconnection. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. And the third one is the subject of narration. What is it talking about? What is it focusing on? Okay, so for example, stories or setting up religious. So we're going to talk about all of that. And the last one is the narration itself. So this is classical classification of the issues in the hadith. Yeah. So the first one is just open at the page of 17. Yeah. So the page number 17. If you know, ask if you go now and if you just go and ask any Hanafi Usuli scholar about the types of narrations. So he will say, according to Hanafi school, the narrations are three types: mutawatir, mashhur, and ahad. That is the standard Hanafi school. But it's not only the opinion within Hanafi school. There is disagreement. So how many types of narrations do we have? Scholars disagreed. Hanafi scholars, split into two groups. The first group said three: mutawatir, mashhur, and ahad. But we have got the second group. They say no, it's not three, but it's actually two. Yeah. Now let's look into that very briefly. And that much will be enough, inshallah, for today. Yeah. Just go to the text. أقسام اتصال الخبر اختلف الحنفية في تقسيم الأخبار. So there is disagreement among the Hanafi scholars in terms of the types of narrations. فذهب ابن أبان والشاشي وأبو زيد الدبوسي وأبو العسر وأبو اليسر البزدوياني والسرخسي وعلاء الدين السمرقندي واللامشي والنزفي والمحبوبي وجمهور المتأخرين من الحنفية إلى أن الخبر ينقسم إلى ثلاثة أقسام: المتواتر والمشهور والآحاد. So that is the group, the first group. Okay, so the vast majority of the later generation scholars, but also Ahl Bukhara as well as Ahl Baghdad, all say that it is three: Mutawatir, Mashhur, and Ahad. However, وذهب أبو منصور الماتريدي وإبراهيم بن سيار وأبو بكر الأصم وأبو عثمان البصري وأبو القاسم البلخي وأبو بكر الجصاص الرازي وغيرهم إلى أن الخبر قسمان مع اختلاف بينهما في تعيينهما. So these are the scholars, including Abu Mansur, okay, al-Maturidi, as well as Abu Bakr al-Jassas, okay. So Ahl Basra, okay, as well as big names in Ahl Baghdad also, and Ahl Samarkand. So they said actually it is two types, not three, as first group said, but it is only two. But what are these two? So the second group, they also disagreed. So it's not just only two or mutawatir. No, no. Even among themselves, they disagreed. Yeah. they disagreed into three groups, further three subcategories. Yeah. So that's why I'm saying Hanafis are crazy, So they never agree on anything. Yeah. Just to they may agree only on one thing. They all agree that you have to continue studying. Each single person should continue. They agree only on that. They disagree on everything else. So anyway, فقال جمهور هذا الفريق أنهما المتواتر والآحاد. So the vast majority of this group, okay. So the vast majority, it means Abu Mansur al-Maturidi as well as um, Abu Qasim al-Balkhi. Okay, so all those people said it's actually two, which is متواتر and ahad. وذهب ابن سيار إلى أن الخبر إما أن يفيد العلم أو لا يفيده بغض النظر عن عدد الرواة. But according to Ibrahim ibn Sayyar, the narrations are two, but what type of two? So the narration will either convey you certainty, it will give you certainty, or it does not give you certainty, regardless how many, what is the number of the chains. Okay, but as you know, Abu Mansur said it's mutawatir or ahad. Yeah, so so does mean that the it's just it's not real disagreement. Yeah. So it is just semantics between Abu Mansur and Ibn Sayyar. You will see it's not. So, but explicit, I mean, on its surface, it looks like that it's just semantics because when Abu Mansur says mutawatir, he means that it will give you certainty. So that's what exactly Ibn Sayyar is explicitly saying. I don't care about the numbers, but will it give you certainty or not? But according to Abu Mansur, mutawatir will give you certainty. So on surface, it looks like that the disagreement is just semantics, yeah? But in the future, you will see that no, it's not actually semantics, because there are examples in which lesser number, lesser number will give you certainty. But then Abu Mansur does not consider it as mutawatir. Understand? Whereas Ibn Sayyar will class it as the first group, which is certainty group. Do you understand? Certainty type. Do you understand? So anyway, now just take it as it is. Yeah, so as you see, there is disagreement. Abu Mansur and Abu Qasim and the majority of the second group, they say that it's actually mutawatir and ahad, finish. But Ibn Sayyar says, no, hang on. It's not mutawatir and ahad, but the narration will either give you certainty, it will convey you certainty, or it will not, regardless of its numbers. Okay, well, because Ibn Sayyar in the future, you will see, he will be using the Qara'in. Understand? So the Qara'in, which is not the like isnad, yeah, but Qara'in which is taken from like external Qara'in. Okay, so we'll learn about it in the future. Ibn Sayyar. Okay, so anyway, so that is that. So first, uh, initially the Hanafis divided into two. Narrations are split into three, the vast majority. The second minor group said no, it's actually two. So those who say two, they are further split into three groups. Okay, first group said mutawatir ahad. The second, Ibrahim ibn Sayyar on his own said either certainty or no certainty, regardless of the number of the chains. And the last one is Abu Bakr al-Jassas. Okay, Abu Bakr al-Jassas initially agrees that so he's in between, between Abu Mansur and Ibn Sayyar, because he says it's either mutawatir or either ahad. It's exactly as Abu Mansur and Abu Qasim said, yeah. But hang on, he says further, mutawatir is split into two groups. Mutawatir, which gives you certainty, okay, certainty, explicit certainty, or mutawatir, which gives you um, academical certainty, okay, or not academical, but العلم الاستدلالي. How we can, how we can translate it? So الاستدلالي is, so because you know the certainty, uh, like common certainty, which is common sense. And the second one is it will give you certainty, but not as common sense, but you have to contemplate and analyze, and that will lead you to the certainty. Do you understand? So as you can see, Abu Bakr al-Razi al-Jassas actually took, okay, the his stance is actually in between the first group, Abu Mansur and Abu al-Qasim, and the second group, which is Ibrahim bin Sayyar. Yeah, maybe value, yeah. Analytical, yeah, maybe that's the good part. Analytical, yes. Hey. Okay, guys, so as you can see, and further, you see the tables, I mean, just to explain it in Arabic. That's it. Inshallah, we are going to stop here. As you can see, I'm not going into the details, okay? But if it would be academical lecture, then definitely we would go into the um, so what we have did what we have completed today, yeah, in about 10-15 minutes, that would take us with the academical level of explanation, it would take us maybe about a month or so. Yeah, because normally in the lectures, normally I go beyond the explanation of the positions, okay, the motives, what made these specific. For example, Abu Mansur, why he's not with the Hanafis to say mutawatir, mashhur, and ahad? Why is he saying mutawatir? And what's the reason behind that? Because obviously he's the scholars of aqidah. You understand? Okay, so that was so means he's motivated by his background to make this. Do you understand? So we would go to that and examples, etc., and then biographies also. So that would be in the academical lectures. Okay. So anyway, it is for you guys, for the layman also, so they can understand. Inshallah, or maybe within about 2-3 weeks, okay, when we will have at least about 10-15 lessons for the layman on YouTube. After that, we will start doing the academical lessons. So if you guys find it useful, and if you think that you can understand and comprehend these, so then you will you can join us, yeah, to the academical lectures. Okay, so now let's take the questions. Yeah, so in terms of joining the group, so just email us your phone number, WhatsApp number. The admins will join. You can email us on Score of Publishing, or you can Ibn Sina, info Ibn Sina, or you can even to my public or even personal account on Facebook. Okay, all that is monitored by the admins. Okay, so they will add you to the group, inshallah. Okay, who was the first person to write about mutawatir? How many mutawatir had? Yeah, so according to others, so that's a good question. I would advise you to join um, the academic classes. Okay, so you will learn about it. Inshallah, it is in here. Okay, so we have something called al-amal al-zahir. Okay, so the most of the tawatur, according to Ahl al-Samarkand, is not verbal tawatur, but al-amal al-zahir. Okay, al-amal al-zahir is something which is broadly accepted, okay, but it's mainly between Ahl Baghdad and Ahl Samarkand, but broadly accepted by the Mutaakhirin Hanafis. So that is the uh, the issues, biggest number of the issues which is set up by Tawatur, this stuff, Al-Amal al-Zahir. Okay. MashaAllah, this is a good question. Yeah, so there is no mention of Imam Zufar Yeah, so there are 2 points. Yeah, um, obviously, uh, I did mention it in my first uh, lecture when I was launching this book. So I said that I tried to keep it as like smaller as possible. Okay, as I tried to squeeze it as smaller as I can. Yeah. However, even then, it became 600 pages. But then I deliberately missed out quite a lot of things. Okay, but anyway, Ahl Basra means Imam Zufar. Okay, so Imam Zufar has initiated Ahl Basra, and also just give a couple of months. The second book is coming. Okay, and in the second book, it's only to do with the direct students of Abu Hanifa. Okay, in there, I have mentioned Imam Zufar as well as I have mentioned many other names also. Okay, who are unknown. Okay, to the contemporary academics, but all of them are students of Abu Hanifa. But in terms of Sahib, definitely Imam Zufar, I would say he is academical twin of Abu Hanifa, but not Sahib. No. Um, some people. Exactly. That's yeah, Sayyidi Kamel. That exactly the painful truth is, unfortunately, you know. So our principles, inshallah, after studying it, you will be amazed, okay, by the size of the brain of these Hanafi scholars, you know, and then you will be surprised. You will be surprised. You will be surprised to accept, or you will be surprised to see why later generation Hanafis, okay, disregarded their own heritage of Hanafi Mustalah and then inclined toward the Hadithi way of testing Hadith. You will be shocked. Okay, but inshallah, as we read, as we go through it, inshallah, we are going to learn more and more. Um, yes, so yeah, and also I read your new book. That's impressive. Because I have launched it, I think about 2 weeks ago. So it means you are very enthusiastic person. If you read it like so fast, that's impressive actually. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah. Um, but anyway, inshallah, if you will join these like public lectures, there will be some definitely some further benefit, inshallah. Okay. Yes, Sayyidi Kamil, that is very painful. Yeah. So when our imams have created these principles and not just creating but implemented these principles, the muhaddithin, they were still asleep, you know, they didn't know that there is such a thing as like a principles, you know. Well, them mainly just isnad, you know, and rarely looking into the illa, you know, illa khafiya. It's very rarely, you know, they so so let's complete the book together. Okay, and then join us to the academical lessons, which so this book will be finished in academical lessons. Maybe I will need about 2 years to complete it, because I will give a lot of explanation and a lot of examples, because I have produced the book only like purely on usuli technical term. I did not include any fiqhi, you can say, explanations. But during the academical lectures, I'm going to implement these usuli principles into the fiqhi masail also, just to see that the tarjih sometimes went to the wrong direction, you know. Okay, and I'm going to give you the names of the murajjihin, the reliable ones. Yeah, so you will see that how they were glorious to implement these principles, that their opponents was disregarded. Yeah, so that's going to be much more, you can say, interactive, because the students will be throwing a lot of questions also. So it's going to be much more interesting. Okay, how would you? Yes, do Ahl Samarkand believe? in abrogation. Naskh and mansukh. That's good question. So are you referring like in terms of the hadith, naskh or mansukh in the hadith? Or are you talking about the Quran? Because it's two different things, yeah. And also, just keep in your mind, yeah. So in our usul books, the word of naskh is used for many things, and we use that frequently. Okay, for example, istithna. Naskh is taghyir actually. So whenever you do the taghyir, regardless taghyir of the meaning of the nas, okay, or taghyir of the mas'ala hukum, so you are doing taghyir. So we call all of that as naskh. So if that's what you mean, definitely istithna is naskh, takhsis is naskh. Okay, taqyid also naskh. Also ta'wil, ta'wil by ijtihad, that is also naskh. Because all of that causes taghyir, either in the nas or either in the hukum. Okay. Astaghfirullah. Sayyidi Jansir, yeah, maybe Allah created some servants who makes khidmah for the deen, So may Allah reward them, But we are just enjoying, Me, you just we chat, gab shop and just, it's good book, enjoyable. So yes, we are doing that, But khidmah of the religion, no, no. There are Abu Hanifa did, Sufar did, yeah. We're just collecting what they have said. Astaghfirullah. Sayyidi Janshir, may Allah grant you a son who will be as, I mean, exactly what you think I am, but I'm not what you thought. Astaghfirullah. Do al Bukhari. The school of thought, yeah. Abu Qasim al Balkhi, yeah, as well as Abu Bakr al Asam, yeah. Abu Bakr Abdul Rahman bin Kisan al Asam al Basri. Yeah, definitely. They were not only them, but many others. For example, Jahal. Okay, Abu Uthman al-Jahal, for example. Yeah, so all of them, okay, Ahl Basra and Ahl Sam, all of them, they follow the Hanafi school, but um, just wait for the second book, okay? So because that's the involvement of Imam Zufar, isn't it? Balkhi and Assam, yeah. Um, so the early Hanafi movement that has continued. Unfortunately, this Qadr Billah, so during that time, so he is the one who has ended that movement. So Hanafi school means the school of the free thinkers. Athari school is the school of the followers. Definitely the opinions of the free thinkers, it will be amazing, definitely. Because so like Athari is just stereotype. If you listen to one of them, you don't have to listen to anybody else because the rest will repeat exactly the same thing. That's the Atharist movement, yeah. But free thinkers, if you listen to Balkhi, it does not mean that you learned. No, no. So Abu Mansur will have his own presentation, which will not look like Balkhi, and Zufar will have his own. Abu Muti' Balkhi will have Hasan Ziyad, or for example, Isa ibn. So because they are free thinkers, they do not imitate one another. I will imitate you only if you convince me. You will present your proof. If I accept it, only then I will say exactly what you're saying. Or else, look, why do I have to imitate you? I'm free think. You understand? So Hanafi school means it is the school of free thinkers. So, for example, even for today we did it's the first lesson. Within the first lesson, you saw, question was one: how many types of hadith we have? Look how many differences, yeah? Mutawatir, mashhur, ahad. No, Abu Matur says no, either mutawatir or ahad. Ibn Sayyar says no, 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 hang on, guys. There is nothing like a mutawatir. Either it conveys you certainty or it doesn't. And Abu Bakr just says, look, forget about all of that. So he presents, do you understand? So it is just very first lesson. Now, can you imagine Can you imagine that? Do you know, for example, with the gun, I shoot here, yeah. So it right now bullet is here. If I slightly move it, so in here is just very tiny movement, centimeters. But further you go is kilometers, the distance from one another. Do you understand? So how many types of hadith? Right now it is the source, it is the beginning. So if they disagree, so right now then just very close to one another, but further when they will start moving toward their own direction, they fall apart, from one another. It's free thinkers actually. Understand? It is just free thinkers. But unfortunately, the latter generation Hanafi, they are Hanbali orientated. They just imitate one another. So unfortunately, astaghfirullah. Okay, guys. Um, Saifuddin. Who are the leading Hanafi scholars today that are not Hanbali in Usul? Uh, one thing I know, there are quite a lot of noble scholars around the world, Hanafis and non-Hanafis, but unfortunately, they do not show off. They love modesty. So my answer to you is just by yourself, go and discover. Go to, for example, Turkey. There are a lot of Hanafi mashayikh, independently thinking. There are, I know quite few of them. Okay, so they don't like this Hanbali orientated thinking. They love Hanafi usul fiqh. Yeah? In ilahiyat, I know two of them. Go to subcontinent, Pakistan and India. There are a lot of noble, high-ranked scholars, but they're very quiet, and they sit and they do nothing except teaching the talaba, the students. So they may not have blogs, they may not do as I'm doing like YouTube, etc. Okay, so my advice is just go and look for them by yourself. I hope that you will find quite a lot, inshallah. Okay. What changed? Sayyidi Zafar, in terms of the changes, um, there are whole chapters which never existed, not in my previous book, but it never existed in any other book. But I have introduced here, yeah. So you just look into the volume, yeah. So my previous book, the first Hanafi Principle, it was 240 or something, very small, tiny book, as well as the letters, they were big. So if it would be in this size letter, it would be just 110 page as a maximum. But this one is over 600 pages. Okay, and also I have included the classifications. For example, today, very first lesson, yeah. Um, in my first book, I gave the standard position that a hadith is either mutawatir or mashhur or ahad. But in here today, in this book, today we studied, yeah, I gave extra three classifications. Okay, one by Abu Mansur and his group, for example, Al-Balkhi, yeah, Ka'bi. Okay, and the second is by Ibn Sayyar, and third one is by Jassas, for example. Okay, so it is the very first lesson, you see. So already in the very first chapter I have included, okay, three quarters of classifications, but in the first book which I've published, only the one quarter was there, yeah, but three quarters I have included in here. Okay, as well as there are a lot of chapters. Inshallah, you will, for example, the subject of the hadith. Okay, musharra or غير musharra. Where do you find it? I did not present it in my first book because that was standard Hanafi school. But khabar musharra and khabar غير musharra, it is the early Hanafi position. Understand? Okay, so and many other things, and also about 214 or 216 ahadith. included in here, and not those hadith are not mentioned by me where I was implementing those principles. No, no. But I quoted the Hanafi Mashayikh implementing the principles by themselves. So from my side, I did not give any single hadith as an example, but I quoted the other early Hanafi scholars implementing the principles. You understand that is big thing, Okay. But anyway, if you will join our academic lectures, in there I will be giving, so I will be further extending these principles to show you many other examples. As I told you previously, there are many other things I had to exclude because I didn't want this book to become 3 volumes, thick, three volumes. But I wanted to make it very short text. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, say the comment. So even it says comprehensive manual. Yeah. You just read it. You just read through it. You will see the difference. Yeah, for example, Abu Hanifa rejecting the stoning. Where is it, for example, in my previous book? No, it's not there. Or, for example, Abu Mansur al-Maturidi does not believe that, the Dhammatul Qabr, grave squeezes you when, the ribs will go into one another. Abu Mansur says, no, that's not the, it's wrong, it's lie. Okay, so where is it in my previous book? But it is in here. Or, for example, Abu Mansur says, there is no such a thing as Mi'raj. There is Isra, yes, but there is no Mi'raj. I did not mention it in the previous one, but I did mention it here, yeah? There are much more examples here. This is comprehensive version. Sayyidi Fizan, I suggest that you join uh, our academic lesson. Inshallah, you will benefit. Okay, and also try to attend our Zarnuji classes. So because we touch upon Hanafi school a lot in there also. That is, Sayyidi Kamel, that is very tough, very good question. As you know, there is difference between Abu Mansur and Maturidis. Yeah, Abu Mansur al Maturidi. Okay, so there are key points with it. So if you're asking about the Maturidis and the Mu'tazila, so you have to specify what exactly your question is. Is it Abu Mansur or the later generation who classes Maturidis? So you have to. But yeah, there are different. So they are free thinkers. All of them are free thinkers. So that's why there will be differences. For example, today you saw the very first lesson, and already they're disagreeing in the fundamental issues. Okay. Sayyidi Jadid, no, unfortunately, the later generation Hanafi, they were not Quran centric. No, they were Athari. They're Atharis, aren't they? Yes, Sayyidi Kamel, I have already produced. Yes, so in each book which I have produced, for example, Maliki, Mustalah, Mu'tazili, Shafi'i, Hanbali, Ja'fari. So for each of them, I have produced 2 commentaries. One is pro. For example, in Maliki um, principles, I've produced 2. One, I'm being Maliki. I'm explaining and supporting the Maliki Mustalah. But in the second, I'm coming back to be Hanafi, and as Hanafi, I'm commenting on the Maliki Mustalah. Okay, so for each book, I have produced 2. Okay, 2 commentaries, except the Maliki. For the Maliki, I produced 3. One is pro Maliki, and one is neutral. Okay, and third is critical. Okay, so criticizing. Yes, I did produce. Yes. Yeah. So you guys are asking a lot of questions. It will come. Yeah, inshallah, it will come. Yeah. ضمة الخبر. Just look into the look into the ahadith. Yeah, the chapter of ahadith at the end. ضمة الخبر. Just look through the hadith, you will find it there. Just the last chapter, yeah. So the last section with the like indexes to the hadith. Yes. Okay. So in terms of time, inshallah. Okay, guys. So I think that much should be enough. I really wanted to make it very short one, half an hour, but questions are very interesting. So I will see you guys if you will join us on Tuesday lessons. So on Tuesday, we'll continue with Imam Zarnuji, Talim al-Muta'allim, or else next Friday, exactly in the same time, I will see you guys to continue studying this book. If you didn't get your copy, so it is still available on Amazon, just purchase it and make sure that you revise. You revise whatever we read so far today, and it's advisable that you very briefly look into the next several chapters because in the next Friday we're going to do that. Yeah. So that's everything from me, and thank you. I will see you guys either on Tuesday or next Friday. Thank you. Um, yeah, I will. So it will continue, yeah. So next lecture we'll finish off this mutawatir and mashhur and ahad. So all this classification next. So the next week we're going to do all of that mutawatir and mashhur and ahad and the rest of the classifications. Yeah. Yeah. So try to read through that chapters. Okay. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you um, on Tuesday or Friday. Assalamu alaikum. Astaghfirullah. Thank you, sir. Thank you.